authoritative publication in China. When People's Daily speak, that's China speaking. And we know, COVID that Blinken talked about, well, China, we don't know where COVID-19 came from, but there's 100% that we know that China deliberately spread COVID-19 beyond its borders. We know 100% that China is behind these large, far-flung fentanyl gangs, and that means 100,000 Americans have been killed each year with Chinese fentanyl, and that's deliberate. So I don't know how you work with a country like that. And when you say that you have to work with a country like China, you're giving China a veto over American foreign policy, which is what Biden has done in some respects.
Well, he also signaled that as long as these guys are in charge, Biden or whoever pulling his strings, we're never going to even begin to decouple from China. Watch.
We don't expect every country to have the exact same assessment of China as we do. We know that many countries, including the United States, have vital economic or people-to-people ties with China that they want to preserve. This is not about forcing countries to choose. It's about giving them a choice.
Gordon, this was a mess of a speech. I'm just going to keep saying it over and over again. This is setting up a total capitulation on the China tariffs. And I'm thinking if you're President Xi and you're watching this today, you're thinking, wait, we went from Mike Pompeo to this dude? They're sitting pretty. I keep saying I don't have words for things today, but I don't really have words for this.
Yes, and really this shows the weakness of the Biden administration's approach to China and the failure to defend the American public from a malicious Beijing. And this sounds, when we go back and think about what Reagan said, that the United States was going to defend its interests and the interests of free countries around the world, and we were not going to accept the Soviet Union as a given. It was, we win, they lose. Well, that is sort of morphed into what Blinken said, which is milquetoast. And our allies and friends listening to this, they're disheartened. And of course, as you point out, the Chinese leadership is just laughing at what Blinken said today.
Well, Gordon, when you think about how the U.S. government is working and spending tens of billions of dollars, will ultimately be hundreds of billions of dollars, to change Russia's behavior, try to isolate Russia, they're doing that. So the idea that they're not going to do that toward countries, of course they are. But China's gotten so big because the elites did all that business there with huge trade deficits that now I guess they're just saying too big to fail.
Well, the sad thing about this is that China is failing. It's failing on its own because it's got a contracting economy, it's got a debt crisis, worsening food shortages, and COVID-19, which it can't deal with. And so this is the time for us to go back to that Reagan posture and say, look, the free world must win. The world must be free, because if it's not free, we know what happens. So this is serious.
Right,
and as you say,
one of the worst speeches. One of the worst speeches I've ever heard a Secretary of State give, period. That goes back to Obama's people. All right, Gordon, great to see you. Thank you. All right, up next is the mob coming for Ricky Gervais. Raymond Arroyo is with us.